Welcome to Chats with Novice, the show in which I invite on some whiskey legends for a little chat. This time, a childhood hero of mine, and one who I didn't even realise was a whiskey buff until recently. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sooty. Sooty, I don't like to be past remarkable, but you look like as if you've had one or two there already. You're into the third bottle of my single malt. You've only been here for 4 hours. Yes, I did say help yourself. Within reason. Anyway, Sooty, it is safe to say that you've had an illustrious television career, yes. Up until the point of the drugs and tax evasion scandal. I mean, well, I didn't say I wasn't going to mention it. Well, you know, there's no need for that sort of language. I mean, this is a family well, please, you know, there's no need for that. I would ask you to leave my mother out of this, you know, because... Well, there you go. Thank you, Sooty. It's true what they say. Don't meet your heroes. Next week, Charlie Sheen. Oh, it had to be Jura too. Welcome back to another whiskey review with me, the Whiskey Novice. Good to be here, as always. Good to have you here. It is review number 59 and part 6 of my series, That Awkward Age, looking at some whiskies aged between 3 and 16, not including those aged 10 and 12 years old. And this time, looking at the oldest one in the series so far, and a distillery, a whiskey that I haven't actually reviewed yet. I've used as comparisons, etc., but I've never actually reviewed. I'm surprised I haven't, considering their role in Scotch whiskey. And it's Glenfiddich, another Speyside distillery, another distillery owned by William Grant and Sons. Now, I'm not going to deep dive into the distillery itself. I'll do that at a later date with a different one. For now, I want to actually look at this specific expression, and that'll become explanatory in a moment. So this one, the Glenfiddich 15 Solera, bottled at 40%, chill filtered, colour added, and the reason why, as I say, I want to get into the expression itself is Solera. What is a Solera? Well, this is a process adopted from the Spanish sherry bodegas, pretty much. And what it is, you will hear, if you're new to whiskey, you will hear the term or the name infinity bottle come up at some point. And what an infinity bottle is you take an empty bottle, whiskey bottle, and when you get to, everybody's got their own way of doing this, but some people, you get to the dregs, you get to the end of your bottle, and you put, rather than draining it, you put it into this infinity bottle. When you get to the end of another bottle, you put it into the infinity bottle, and this goes on. Or you can just add it as you wish. Everybody has their own way of doing it. But what happens is you fill a bottle, and then as the reason it's called an infinity bottle is it never empties. So as you start to go down that bottle, then you're topping it up with something else. Then you're topping it up with something else, etc. So as you drink it, you refill. Now, the difference is, an infinity bottle, you're looking at different whiskies, different flavours, different expressions, all getting mixed through, all getting blended through. So you end up with this blend all your own making. In a Solera, you're looking at age. So what's happening is, as they empty the casks, as they empty the Solera cask, it's refilled with the next in age range. Now, you're talking technically the sherry, what the sherry people are doing, what they're doing in these sherry bodegas, etc. What Glenfiddich do, they have their own specific way of doing this, is you're taking here a 15-year-old whiskey which has been matured for 15 years in ex-bourbon, ex-European sherry casks, and also they also use virgin. There's some virgin cask being used here, And when it has its full maturation, it is then dumped basically, and it fills a Solera vat. I think in the range of something like 37,000 litre vat that this goes in, and then you've got all this working together here, and it is then this was married, and it's then settled in Solera tons for a period of no less than 3 months, I believe it is. And so there's an awful lot of marrying, etc. goes on. When it starts to get then bottled up, when you're removing, it's only removed no more than 50%, less than 50% gets removed before it's refilled again. So it's constantly, what you're looking at here is a constant renewal of something that has been around before, if you know what I mean. It's quite difficult to explain. These casks basically are never emptied. So you're looking at a fill and a fill and a fill. You know, they do not empty them the way any other whiskey cask would be completely emptied and bottled. This is only less than half emptied and then refilled. So there's a lot of renewal going on. There. I hope that was explanatory. It was, believe me, it was harder for me than it was for you. Trust me. Anyway, yes, getting on to this one, the Glenfiddich 15. As I say, I can't believe I haven't reviewed a Glenfiddich yet. I have used the 12-year-old in comparison before, but it's just not quite come up as for a review where I wanted to do so. But this one I thought fitted into this series, and it was one that I wanted to talk about. And here's why I want to talk about it. This whiskey surprises me. It's a 15-year-old. Let's get to the price now. You're talking 35 to 45 pounds. It's not expensive for a 15-year-old whiskey. Okay, it's bottled at 40%, chill filtered, colour added. But once again, it's 15 years old, remember. And take in the Solera cask, the Solera vat, the Solera tons, whatever way you want to put it. There's a bit of effort put in here. So let's get to the whiskey itself. It's quite typical of a Speyside for me. It's quite typical of a Glenfiddich for me. But that's no bad thing. This is just straight in on that nose. Light honeyed malt. Freshly sliced orange. There's a light woodiness at the back. You would expect that. There's virgin oak. There's an awful lot of wood in play in the making of this whiskey. It just is from one wood to another wood to another wood. So you would expect, and yes, there is a light woodiness. And that woodiness even comes through as even a wood polish or beeswax. It's nice, very pleasant. Vanilla. So yet again, there's your virgin oak, there's your ex-bourbon. Clove, and a fairly definite clove. The clove is there. It's fresh, it's herbal. I've said it before about whiskies where you would expect, there's a term where you would expect to come off the palate rather than off the nose, but it's tannic, dry and tannic, and there is a slight, where you would imagine when you get into the palate, there is a slight dryness, a tannic thing, like tea, like a breakfast tea, sweet tea. This is like a sweet tea. And even hay, some dry grass. It's a very, very pleasant nose. I think the light honeyed malt just stands above everything, and it makes it very, very pleasant on the nose. Sweet, sour delivery, but fresh, and sharp, citric acid, more honey. More malt, Those wood notes then come with all the vanilla expected. Yeah, sweet vanilla, fresh fruit, wood. All the same things over again. Honey, malt, sugary. Pleasant nose, pleasant palate. Finish is medium to long. Still malty. Still honey. Clove. A little spicy, peppery, maybe cinnamon. Now, but just all in all, a very, very well-rounded whiskey, actually, I think. As I say, at that price. Now, what I will say is 40%. I'm not going to add water. Did add water when I was taking my tasting notes. It didn't bring a lot. It toned the nose down. It thinned the palate out. The finish didn't really change an awful lot, so I'm not going to add water to this one. But, as I said before, it's 15 years old. Yes, it's bottled at 45%, but if you can pick this up for 35 to 40 pounds, it is a bargain, I think. And it's a great example of a Glenfiddich in that if you've maybe had the 12 in your past, you've maybe had the 12 and it just sat there. It's not an overwhelming whiskey, it's just there. I just think this one is a great example of Glenfiddich. This is just a really, really nice, easy sipping whiskey that deserves a bit of credit. It's maybe not really talked about an awful lot, but I think it's a nice, good, well-balanced, easy sipping whiskey. So there you go. So, what else do we do then? If you like this, then try this. Now, I did have to work a little on this one. There aren't an awful lot of distillers out there using Solera, the Solera process, and even those who do, you're looking, there's a couple of bourbons use it, there's a Starward in Australia does it, but it doesn't really play into, so what you're talking about here is something, it's a Glenfiddich, you know. It's going to so to go and look for something else with the Solera process isn't going to make an awful lot of difference to the flavour profile. That's going to go, oh, well, because it's Solera, it's going to taste like this. So what I was actually looking for was a Speyside, which played in the same sort of ballpark as this for me. And when I went through my collection, because I can only work within the boundaries of what I know, obviously, what I've tasted, and I went for this, I landed on the Glenallachie 12-year-old. And the reason why is, it's not as honeyed. The Glenallachie is not as honeyed as this. This would be. And actually, the Glenallachie plays an awful lot softer and more gentle on the nose. This is actually quite bold on the nose compared to this. But when you get into the palate of the Glenallachie, then a lot of these malty honey notes start to come together. Like, so the Glenfiddich and the Glenallachie then start to feel quite the same. This bottle at 46%, unchill filtered, natural colour, is, and I reviewed it, I'll throw a link into the review up here. I reviewed it a while back. It is a great whiskey. You know, so if you liked the Glenfiddich 15 and you haven't had the Glenallachie 12-year-old, give this a shot. I think if you bought this and like this, you'll love this, because it's the Glenfiddich 15, but it's more subtle in places, but it's just better made than this. This is good. This is great. So, if you like this, try this. There you have it. I finally reviewed a Glenfiddich 15. or Glenfiddich, should I say. Start a flight with this. Start your night with this. If you wish to have a whiskey that you can relax with and not have to think about, but it's got enough complexity going on to not leave you underwhelmed, this is very, very good. This fits that bill. There you go. Listen, thank you very much for watching my video once again. Thank you very much to my patrons. Look, if you, I know I say it all the time, but not only are my patrons friends and etc. You know, you're all good friends, but it's their worth. It's what they bring to me. It's their advice, etc. It's very much appreciated. If you do wish to join that group, the link is below in the details. So, until the next time, thank you for being here. Here's to your good health. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.